Well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully your Monday is going great so far. Back to the Paladins Console League we go, but over to North America this time around, and we've had a day of close matchups standings-wise, but not so much close matchups results-wise, notably Flashpoint going down 3-0 to start that one off, Vroom Vroom over Bust down 3-1, and now we got a matchup Onslaught versus Hydra that proves to be very, very fun. Joining me on the desk, though, of course, for game number 3, or set number 3 of our day, Nick Pretty Hair Keo. Excited for a good matchup here?
Yeah, absolutely, man. PS4 NA is definitely a fun one to watch because unlike some of the other regions, I think this has remained to be one of the more competitive regions. I think a lot of teams flop to this region to avoid Elevate in the Xbox region, and for good reason.
Hype unit now.
Yeah,
notably.
That's right, hype unit. A lot of times those guys just dominate. Most of the time these players will have, both consoles, so they can just kind of pick the path of least resistance. We only take the top team out of each region console combination, so I don't really harp too much on people that do the path of least resistance sort of thing. They're playing the system, just how it's designed, so it is what it is.
Well, you look at the standings, this is a 1 versus 2 matchup. The second of the day is our first matchup was also a 1 versus 2 between Flashpoint and Aaron Monner. 5-0-13, so if we're doing some quick math, they've only dropped 2 maps Onslaught have up to this point, and 1 loss for Hydra coming at the hands of Onslaught the last time these two teams played. So, I mean, traditionally, this is a very one-sided matchup. Soldier Bot, Ghost, Calamity, I mean, the Onslaught roster filled with names that you'd recognize, and a team that you probably don't expect to falter very much in this matchup.
No, definitely not, especially with the gyro god Raukion himself.
That's true.
I'm looking for a couple more EV players out there. Yeah. If you're gonna be, the gyro god, you gotta bring out some of these more high sensitivity characters. This guy does a lot of Leon, does it very well to boot. So we'll have to see if anybody wants to bring that out. That could be a potential power pick for people that are willing to pick it up and willing to practice it. Our homie Blue lets me know that Quicks plays on 10-10-10 sensitivity. He's maxed out. It's completely, top of the boards for everything, and that's what it takes to be a top-tier EV god.
Well, Nick hopes for some more EV. I hope the same. Kind of map-dependent, though, so let's see what maps are banned out. Maybe some EV-centric maps. Ice Mines, Warder's Gate, both taken away here. Maps that EV could be played on. Stonekeep, Jaguar Falls as well, so a map EV was played on, and then Jaguar Falls to round that one out. So the EV pool, at least 1 less here in this case.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that character, though. You get good enough at it, you can play it essentially everywhere.
That's true.
And, she can bring you some really great value, especially here on console where not a lot of people are not only able to play it, so you can pick it last if you want to. But it's not something people are very used to playing against. And traditionally, it's assumed to be a very natural predator to things that are strong on console, which is those backliners that have a low mobility and high DPS that they're used to just facing this way. I'm going to face my 270 degrees in front of me, and I'm not going to turn for anything. So a character that's constantly every 4 seconds blinking over and behind you can be problematic, to say the least.
Up, down, left, right, those are certainly directions that you don't want to have to look all the time, but Eevee makes you do it. Map number 1, Waits in the Wings. Timber Mill it is. So, I mean, if we want to continue the Eevee thread, I mean, certainly can see it here. Snipers, though, come to mind. Saw some Kinessa earlier on today, of course, paired with the Genos and the Tyra. That makes for some one-shots across the board here. So I maybe predict some sniper competitiveness. Wow, I'm all over the place on this map. No damage amp, though. Both those are gone.
Nope, they're going to both take a seat for sure, and now the conversation starts to revolve a little bit more around those snipers, because if nobody's going to play the Eevee, then they become a lot more valuable. That's the only reason we don't really see them picked up first. You almost take all of the predators of those snipers, at least in PC drafts, and then you start to look at them. Did we get the better shake of this? Do we have a better flank setup? Do they have anything to press on us with? And contrary to what we've seen today, front lines being the highest priority on the map, we typically see them as the only low priority.
Right. We've actually seen a pretty good variety of
We're in the upside down today, man.
Atlas going unpicked, unbanned in one of our games. Terminus comes out. Doesn't look all that great. Still on the board here is the Terminus. Not sure if they'll opt for it on Timber Mill. Grover, though, going back home to Timber Mill.
Get this done.
Yep.
Does Grover want to go to Timber Mill? I don't think he does. I guess Grover doesn't want to be on
Pretty
Timber
traumatic
Mill.
place for a tree,
I
I
think
suppose.
he's sad about it, but he's going to play here regardless for Onslaught. Victor Vivian looking like the locks for Hydra. At least for now, leaning away from the snipers. Get themselves some good range, though. Burst mode Victor. Certainly nothing to be scoffed at range damage-wise.
Yeah, man, this is kind of like power mid-rangers, though. These aren't quite what you want to go the complete distance of Timber Mill. And right now, Onslaught don't have anything in that line of thinking either. You know, Leon is maybe likely if they want to be able to have something long range, but be able to also kind of mid-range with it as well. Nobody jumping at the bit to grab those snipers just yet. A severe lack of Maeve today all around. If you can play this character well, man, she's a beast.
Yeah, one of the strongest champions, certainly in the Premier League as of this moment. You see the 8% pick rate, 67% win rate, though. So, I mean, if you can pick it, you can play it. Things will be looking good. And Onslaught's a team that I trust can certainly do well on the Maeve. Furia locked in here for Hydra. So I cycle back a little bit of damage amp with Inflame up. Anara rounds out that top 5. You're right, though. Power mid-rangers is kind of the way to look at Hydra between Khan, Victor, and Vivian. There's that one specific range they'll be looking to kind of hang out at. And that's on the opposite side. Onslaught definitely has the ability to make them uncomfortable.
Cards are on the table for sure. I don't think there's a great way for Hydra to get onto this sniper.
Yeah.
That's the real conversation for me. If Maeve doesn't even need to kill people, just distract people long enough for this Kinessa to get her angles, start landing some shots, and then everything else should take care of itself.
Well, the game plan is laid out here for Onslaught. Timber Mill awaits in the wings, and so do your casters.
We've got a Dragon versus a Hydra coming in for this one as we move on to Timber Mill. Myself, Gormizer, and Kresnik joining me on the call for this one. This is going to be a fun one. And I think you had a fun fact specifically about Onslaught kind of prepared coming in for today. And we'll have to see if they can kind of keep up their level of prestige right now as they have in the console league.
Yeah, that 16-minute pace they set last week, even though it wasn't on stream, that's going to be hard to keep up with. I mean, if any team in this region could do it, it would obviously be the team that just did it, but this is a closer team to them. You know, this is Hydra, a little bit closer in the rankings than the 1 versus 4 matchup that they managed to set that record in last week.
Yeah, that's, I think, the strength of it. Onslaught, very notably, a good team. And as we come here, also the sniper of the bunch, I think, is going to be interesting. Maeve, probably one of the most prominent flanks that we've had in the meta right now, going to be coming up and around. And, I mean, already, I didn't even get to say anything about the damage. Khan was just half health by the time they got there. And so already the aggression kind of paying off here, even though there's not a big amount of pressure on the objective.
Hydra does get the first kill, though. They managed to get Ayanishi and push them away. And it's really about how well Hydra can play this middle ground. You can't go any further or further back because of the sniper. You can't really get away with that. Maybe a little bit of an overstep by Mew Mew, so she managed to pick that off. But actually, yeah, another pick, onto the point tank by them. So they weren't playing the mid ground as well as they could have. They needed to kind of protect themselves a little bit more. They have to stay out of these sightlines while still applying damage and pressure to the point.
Ghost over here on the sniper. Probably one of the most prominent, I want to say, like DPS players. I feel like we've gotten to see him flourish through the history of not only console league, but then if you go back to, console series as well, as it was formerly known. He's just been around for a long time and has been able to kind of grow and join bigger teams because of that. Now you're seeing this Kinessa performance maybe reflected so far. A lot of damage coming down. Ralkion with a couple of kills to his name. Looking for a third one here onto the Furia. A couple more daggers going to afford him a triple. Nice quadra kill as he turns around, finds the last hits he needs, and cleans up Hydra, keeping themselves clean and in control of this point.
Just too much of a stall from Hydra. They were just all sitting in that one room and let Ralkion surround them and find all those kills. The Gyro Lord playing that Maeve and managing to hit all the daggers that he needs to. Looks like a pause here. We'll settle in for the push. And they were taking pretty decent positioning. I think they had the Ashe under there, going to be able to shoot up to that high ground really soon. And that Victor's not going to be able to free fire the way that he needs to.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing coming into this. Normally we see this as a range battle. Sniper v. sniper is always a big conversation, flank v. flank. There is no flank to match Maeve, so they have to rely on kind of the Vivian-Victor combo to hold her back. But then you have the sniper. Like, they don't have the positioning to fight the sniper, and they don't have the flank to fight the flank. How do they stop kind of, the onslaught of Onslaught?
You just got to play out of the sightlines and focus down the right targets. It's kind of the answer to it, but if they're going to do this, it's going to be real tough. All the pressure from Swarm Sheep, Sir Dominic's up to the top, and the first pick goes to Onslaught as well.
Just being able to find this, gonna end up trading that one out. They lose their Grover, they trade out the Furia. So far, a 2-for-1. Gonna definitely favor Hydra since they have the respawn proximity. And well, right now they have the high ground. Still, you lose King Business. And Wodak just kind of in this awkward position of, what do I do? How do I get in here? What, do I fight? Do I not fight? Unfortunately for him, there was no right option. Try to back away, they chase you down, try to go in, they burn you down. And as of right now, Onslaught, a minute and a half left. They're walking up the ramp to potentially convert this, and they don't have enough time on Hydra to be able to get there and stop it.
Definitely the worst place for Hydra to have to be at that point. I mean, once you're stuck in that door, it's such long sight lines. They can take such good positions that you're really not going to be able to walk out whatsoever. So good on Onslaught for this push. This on mid specifically. Hydra just stalled themselves out so much. They just gave this to Ralkion, honestly.
Yeah. Very, very few maps that I can think of, have as big of a distance and between spawn and your, I guess, conversion point on your side. Maps like Stone Keep do have it, but Fish Market and Timber Mill, you don't really get the best line of sight when you walk out there. Like, you're either, in this case, you walk out, it's wide open, so if you walk out one side, you're just going to get sniped. If you walk out the other, you can't see the payload. Whereas, you know, Fish Market, you walk out to a tree. So either way, you're going to have to kind of deal with that. And Hydra, well, unable to, as it came through. Hatsuchibi not able to get any other tiers of Chronos coming through. No secondary items really for anybody on Hydra. As now they're getting pressured out. Only 2 ults available as well. They're going to need to use them and use them well.
Onslaught might be able to make something happen, though, because they managed to stall out the Ashe, but they ended up trading out King Business for it as well. Getting Ralkion is huge. That's a lot of mid-ground control, and they get Swarm Sheet, too, so they managed to play this mid-ground pretty effectively. Losing cap time is going to make it a little bit harder, but they are managing to get a little bit of zone on the left.
Trying to find any amount of control. Only Barrage used so far. I mean, Sentinels have been popped. You can ignore those for a little bit. They're just going to hang out, as far as we're concerned. Overpower, Seismic Crash available. Both of those very good at turning that 78 into 100 unless something happens, which is going to be a couple of good headshots coming down, ringing true, and it puts Tyler incredibly low, 200 health. He's going to get melted down. Ralkion kind of tag teaming with his DPS duo in the Kinesta to make sure that happens. And now there's a lot more pressure onto this Khan to perform. You get rid of Swarm Sheet, but you need something else. You need to start picking up more kills.
And Khan can't cross the distances the way that Swarm Sheet can, so he's going to be stuck there just trying to find people who kind of feed into him. As this is going on, Onslaught's learning. Ralkion playing a lot more defensive, not really committing. They have the cap. He doesn't need to. Force them into Ghost sightline to make it happen. And he uses the Midnight here. Maybe they want to pressure them, but I think they just want to make it confusing for the point touch.
I mean, you don't know where he went. He just disappeared, just kind of slipped through. Now in a perfect position to change where he goes. Does fall down to the side. Barrage gets dropped onto the point. Knocking around the Inara. 99. Overtime's going to be going down. A beautiful stun just to stop it. Tyler going to get killed off the back end as well. And now it's going to be 1 con, 1 kill as this 99 looks to turn into 100. Hatsuchibi doing anything and everything to try and get to the objective. But there's just too much damage, too much pressure. And Onslaught, even though it was well fought early on from Hydra, still take the point.
Yeah, and the Barrack is letting them get cap time even when Moadak is up top free firing. This reminds me of one of the, I think it was the Nip Envy game where Rockmonk and Victor was able to solo zone the point. Not really so much into the Barrack. It's so early that he doesn't have the items he needs to burn through those shields. Barrack can still get a lot of cap time and hit all the shots. You know, he's still putting pressure onto the Victor, and no other point tank can really do that. Ghost getting dangerously low, backing up top, but it's still slow. It's still a stalemate here. They're just going back and forth, but they have to be a lot more careful of these Kinessa sidelines if they want to hold this score.
And this is where it gets very difficult. Do you peek from these crates, in which case you're going to be taking either a headshot or a 1200 body shot here from Ghost, or do you sit there and you wait for Ralkion to kind of deliver the damage to you in a different case? Either way, you're going to be good. A good overpower to get rid of Ghost is going to alleviate some of that pressure, but it's not where the pressure needs to be. Payload moving incredibly close. A minute 30 left on the clock, and it's sitting at the bottom of the ramp right now. Finally, some retaliation from Hydra is going to give them some breathing room, and it feels like really the first time this game, except for maybe the beginning of this round around the mid-fight, where they have that room to just relax, reset, and take up a defense.
And they need to get into a good position now, because if they let Ghost come back and find those long sight lines, it's going to be a lot harder for them. You can see Mewmew's positioning kind of playing on the ground with his point tank to deny that objective time again, but if he peeks out too far past the logs, he's going to go down. Swarmsheet just a little bit ahead of everybody. Unfortunate small misstep, did not have the sight lines that he needed to cover him. Goes in and does get picked, so they'll probably wait for the respawn again unless they can find something, but they're going to force something instead. Great barrage on a Ghost.
I mean, just... You were saying it. You don't want him to get that long line of sight. He got the long line of sight, so, well, just get rid of him. And then all of a sudden he has to find it one more time. Still not getting aggressive, not sitting up on that roof to maybe stop that Kinessa when she comes back, but we can see the silhouettes as far as they are away. Doesn't look like Ghost is going to be a big issue anytime soon. It's going to take at least 5-6 more seconds before he's in a good position. And because of that, Hydra can kind of adapt and move around and maybe take care of Swarmsheet in the process.
I don't like the rotating down there, though. I feel like their positioning just forced them out. Now no one's on the high ground to help them contest the point, so both fights are basically being lost here. Ralkion low, but gets sustained by the Whirlwind. Now they're going to retake this. They're low on the point, but still getting cap time.
Being able to try to find the kill. There's going to be an Inflame to try and maintain and stabilize, but Mewmew, Hatsuchibi both taken off the board. Tyler doing anything and everything they can. They got rid of Ionishi, but he's not going to be able to stay alive for long. And Khan, Victor, they've been holding on to the high ground, but unfortunately the high ground, well, just kind of spat them out back down onto the payload. It's not going to be enough of a body to sit there and hold on. So Onslaught find themselves the 4-0. There were a lot of good moments from Hydra, but it just felt like they slipped through maybe a couple of decisions that were made that shouldn't have been made.
Yeah, they just got too split focused at the end. They wanted to fight both fights, slow down the Ashe and the Maeve, but I think the decision there was to just shoot Cart. The people were too in the open.
Yeah.
Maybe get Ghost and then fight again. If they had done that, maybe that 3K basically at the end wouldn't have happened.
Well, you have to kind of wait and, I guess, figure that out, dissect it if you are them. We can go ahead and look at the stats. I assume there's going to be a lot of damage next to Kinessa. And, well, actually, not as much as you will see next to Victor. That's the one thing I think I still have to get used to is he will lose. He might not even have a great slash line, although he does have a 9 streak up there. But Muadak, 85,000 damage. You look down, just under 60,000 there for Ghost. 10 streak for him, 11 streak for Ralkion. Both of them pretty much very prominent, but the team spread the damage out.
Mm-hmm. And Kinessa in general isn't really like the crazy damage sniper. I think that falls more to Strix.
Yeah.
Because of the constant firing that Strix does. Kinessa's more crazy burst damage, and you get overwhelmed by it and surprised, as opposed to, you know, constant firing damage. So I'm not too surprised that he's a little lower on damage compared to that Victor, considering that's basically all Victor gives you a lot of the time, you know. But I gotta say, though, the mobility from the Maeve, Ralkion's ability to connect these daggers, I think was great for them and a huge part of why they were successful, because Hydra weren't willing to play Eevee to counter.
And very good target switching. I think that's like, I mean, they're in this moment, it's not like, oh, you have to decide between X and Y. It's just, well, I killed X, Y is next, Z is next, so on and so forth. But there were a lot of moments where he's making the right movement, and as you had pointed out, specifically for this fight, he didn't get aggressive into them. He didn't fight where they wanted to fight for Hydra, and he played it way slower than the first round. Didn't get a quadra kill the second time around, but it ended up awarding them more. Onslaught felt much more focused on the team play than on individual highlights, even though he kind of got both.
Yeah, he did get both. I mean, that's just the Maeve factor, right? When you shoot for 1040 as a crazy mobile flanker, you're going to get the highlights whether you want to or not, honestly. I think it's just the nature of the character, but I thought Onslaught locked them out really well.
Here I am accidentally getting my highlight reel, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'll put that one in the folder. I mean, if I'm just going to happen onto it.
Well, he just happened onto it. They just happened to find themselves a 4-0 Onslaught right now in the lead, one up in this series. Hydra had some moments, but we'll have to see if they can continue and maybe take this and tie it up right after this.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Console League.
Well, 1-0, that's the way she goes. Onslaught 4-0 on Timbermill, and pretty convincing for performance this time. I mean, a quadra kill out of a Maeve. Don't get to see that every day. Certainly not in the console league, and continuing to prove that the mobility, the quick aim shots for Ralkion is a place that I think he feels very, very comfortable. Nick, was the range and mobility just way too much for Hydra?
Yeah, man. When you deal with these characters that don't move around the map so well, you can do as much damage as you want, right? But when you're getting those critical kills onto the critical people that are contesting the point or holding an angle, that are really, really ripping apart your front lines, you look at the difference it can make. Damage just didn't tell the story here on Timbermill. It was all about who could get the impact kills, and also you got to commend Onslaught for not being afraid to just go get on the objective. They just put the pressure on him.
I mean, what was it, 85k damage for the Victor in this case, and then the next highest was like 60 for the Kinessa.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not. I mean, you're right. The damage was not the end all be all here in this case. I guess that's kind of what we're used to seeing out of Victor, those massive damage numbers, and you just hope that the kills go on to the right target here. But that's Timbermill. That's by the wayside. 4-0 for Onslaught is the way it starts out. Map number 2, Bright Marsh, is where we're headed next.
Yep. Just nobody to follow up on all that damage, right? There's those little side cubbies. I mean, there's boxes, trees, other, all types of stuff that the front line of Onslaught can absorb that damage and then just leave and get healed up and come back. And you're just charging the healer's ultimate at that point. If nobody's there to do what we saw in that quadra kill, which was dive deep into the back line and get those killing blows around those lines of sights and make it the quadra kill, then all that damage is, it's basically null and void. It just gets healed up, and it goes towards that next whirlwind or whatever support ultimate that it is. Bands here looking pretty good so far for Bright Marsh. I can definitely put my stamp of approval. Again, I ranted on this earlier today, but Talus, even when he does make it through, doesn't have that like permaban type of performance to me. I'm not entirely sold on him.
I mean, I guess the potential is there, but you're right. I mean, it's so hit or miss seemingly, where maybe it's a ban just to avoid the potential of a carry performance, but it's certainly not guaranteed out of Talus every time. I do look, though, back to Ralkion in this case, and that having a player on your team that can play the Eevee, play the Maeve, play that quick mobility flanker type of champion, that changes up the draft so much here in this league. Genos Barrack for Hydra. Not too much focus on the damage for them, a little damage amp. But Onslaught, they're going to get themselves a Tyra, Makoa, and then another Maeve for Ralkion.
And it worked well for him last game. There's a lot of flankers, especially Eevees and Maves. The two flankers that are really picked, they have sustain, they have mobility, they have, in Maeve's case, damage reduction as well. Eevee's got ice block and ways to mitigate damage, but those types of things are very applicable to almost any map, right? It's not like one thing fits Serpent Beach, right? All that stuff's just good. Throwing the damage amp mark on it as well, it's just going to make that problem worse. Ralkion's going to be that much more deadly. Cat Burglar on top of the hunting party. It's a lot to handle for sure, as Hydra sort of starts to round out their composition with definitely solid stuff. Yeah. But definitely big notes of what they kind of had in the first game coming for them.
Well, I was going to say, Hydra have a very strong core 4 champions picked out. Terminus, not good today. In the one game of Terminus we've seen, it was just not really effective at all. They ended up winning the game, but I think it was maybe despite the Terminus instead of because of the Terminus. Do you mind it here? I mean, Bright Marsh, if we're looking to the PPL and in the small sample size we have for Terminus, shout-outs to Krez, Bright Marsh is where it was picked.
Yeah, Bright Marsh, Jag, probably Bright Marsh slightly over Jag for me is probably where I'd tier list Terminus out. If the Grover loadout is tailored, I think it's Gentle Breeze is the name of the card. There is a decent amount of supplementary movement speed that Grover can give to these frontliners, Makoa and Terminus, who would do very well to have it.
Right, well, Kresnik's waiting by, so I'm sure he'll tell us maybe why they picked Terminus on Bright Marsh.
Well, Kresnik, in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and lean it over to you. Why do they pick Terminus on Bright Marsh?
Because he's pretty good on console. There we go. You're welcome. No.
Thumbs up.
I
Smiley face.
gotta say, I like the Koga pick into the Terminus almost more than the Terminus pick itself. Because you just can constantly regen off of his Siphon. And once you have you're just able to constantly reset dance around him. It's really hard for him to catch you. Plus, he always has something you can be farming your energy off of with Adrenaline Junkie.
We'll play the memory game. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to double dip. Yeah, because he can cleanse the tire mark as well.
Yes.
And so that's probably going to be a pretty interesting mode to come through for this. And Midnight?
Yeah. Should be.
Should
if Eevee can ice block out of
True.
Midnight.
Yeah, good point. So potentially able to kind of cleanse that around. So this Koga maybe hitting in a multifaceted kind of way. As Onslaught have gone down the route of this Terminus with a Grover behind him. This used to be something I was used to seeing, honestly. You would see Terminus on this map, he'd face off with Inara, and it would be kind of day in, day out. But lately, he's not been able to do too much. Doesn't matter, though, if you have Ghost on your team who can just burn down any tank that stands in his way.
The biggest downfall to this is going to be dueling the Maeve. Maeve is so good at 1v1s. Koga doesn't really have the damage potential, I think, to beat a Maeve, especially with Cat Burglar. And you can see it already. Onslaught with total point control. Moedak is doing what he can. Might be able to catch the Maeve, but healing from Grover, just too much. This aggression from Hydra going to go into nothing with that Crush stun.
I mean, just being able to find that, that's going to be 2 clean kills, almost immediately zoning everybody out. Onslaught's been standing on the point for 87% and rising. Now you're body blocking the Barrack. He's trying to get in, but all he's getting is some bullets to the face. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. And, well, now he's back in base trying to recoup from that one as Onslaught find themselves up 1-0. And this match, I mean, you know, much akin to how Timber Mill was. Very, very consolidated from Onslaught, very well played. But because of the size of Bright Marsh, a little easier, I think, for them to execute on the aggression.
For sure. And I think locking them out of the left side is actually really big for the Terminus. His biggest weakness now is the size of his Siphon hitbox. It's what it should have been from the start, to be fair. But it's very easy for him to get overwhelmed and surrounded. So by controlling that left side, they deny Hydra any chance to get into a place that would make the Siphon any worse. So Onishi gets maximum value from it. Constantly doing it. I could drop the fight to you right now, but I mean, it's kind of just the slaughter from the Terminus, basically. The axe swinging. And I actually also wanted to point out that Nick called the Gentle Breeze. And they are running. They do have Gentle Breeze 3 on their build, which is going to let that Terminus do even more.
I mean, just being able to kind of keep him healthy, high up, sustained, maybe moving a little faster as well. Anything and everything to empower this Terminus. It's making it look good. I mean, you know, as Dave had said, actually, earlier on, was I think a 110-6 Terminus from Styles. That was solid, but not exactly what you want out of your tank this time around. Seems a lot more concise from Onslaught. A lot of low health bars here from Hydra. Minute and 15 seconds left, and the payload is right there. It's starting to regress a little bit, but everyone's distracted. Business is dead. Ionishi just trying to do anything and everything to stay in control. Has the reanimate, buys himself some zone with that. And now Terminus is just going to be, again, right back in the face, smacking them down. And even with that hook actually bringing them into contest range, it's going to be a 2-0.
This last area is really good for Terminus also. Not only are people kind of tend to get clumped up on one of the sides, letting him get good cleave, but just the fact that everyone is usually playing on that high ground makes it so easy for Terminus to stay alive and get charges. Although I'm actually kind of curious for his build, because I noticed it watches 5 earlier. Okay, running it watches 3. Not actually running the card that I think is really good for Term, which is the getting Siphon charge back off of the blast that you hit.
Yeah.
I think that is really, really good for Terminus, but they're not running Decimation. They are running Crush. Keep that stun, so I understand maybe being spec'd a little bit out of it.
Yeah.
This is great for sustain, definitely. Healing on charges, getting Siphon for hitting targets, especially since you're going to be constantly dueling with that Barrack. This is a great build for Term.
And just been kind of being able to not only keep yourself alive, Hulking Monstrosity is probably one of the best value cards that you could get at level 1. I mean, oh, look at that, 150 health, just being able to throw that in. Just the casual up there. 4150, not the highest we've seen in tank, but definitely going to be comfortable. No stun this time around. But the Crossfire is going to come through, and while Business can fight and knock people around, it just has not been going his way. This timer, though, he's going to have some backup. Koga comes through and at least turns around 2 kills.
They might not be able to find anything else, though. I mean, Moedak is trading over here, but they have total point control still. And unless they burn through the Siphon, they're not really going to be able to contest this Term. You can see them going for the Makoa now. Maybe he got a little bit overzealous, but his spawners are going to be back pretty soon, but not soon enough to save Swarm.
Every now and then, Victor, like burst mode, it just feels like it hits harder than I remember almost every single time. And it's a nice, fresh experience almost every time he comes through. As Mew Mew kind of piloting this one has probably a lot on his shoulders to perform, to help kind of balance with the Koga. A lot of good poke here on the Ralkion, but not enough to find a kill. not enough to be able to get rid of the Terminus, and now Makoa is going to be back. I mean, it's tilting a little more in favor of Onslaught as time goes on. That will equalize the field with a kill onto Ralkian.
They might not, I don't know. They got the hook, though, on the side, so it does get equalized immediately. Whirlwind coming out now. No other ultimates really online, so Onslaught can get really aggressive. Tyler does not know how lucky he is right now with that turret blocking that shot for him, but now they're just feeding in. They're just going to be going into the last second, but giving them even more ult charge to snowball the rest of this fight.
I mean, that's one of those calls you have to make when you're business. You have to go in. Did not use his assert dominance, which I think is the one that's a little more questionable at the end of the day, having that charged up. Cyclone Strike never got the chance to be used. So Hydra Gaming, still a couple of ults online, about to have Barrage as well, and 3-time in space. They can use to defend this, and I expect, well, they will because they have no other choice. I would like to not end this game with any 100s under any of those icons on Hydra.
Yeah, for sure. And they should do it really soon. Looks like they might be with the Ashe coming right onto the cart. And the missed hook means it's going to get maximum value. So King Business in the middle of it. But can they find any other picks? One to start's looking good for Hydra.
I mean, being able to just, again, keep control and buy space. That's really what this is. It's ground you no longer have to retreat from and that you can control, your team can come up to. And that's exactly what he's going to be able to get. Cyclone Strike still available, but there's no big grouping, no big target right now for that. And his Terminus, I mean, in the right moments, he's just getting melted, much like you said, around the Siphon.
That's the weakness, again, like surrounding him. It used to be you shoot him in the back, and you're like, how in the world is he eating this? It's impossible, but it's not a truck anymore. Still able to get surrounded, and that's the biggest thing. When he gets overwhelmed, he's very overwhelmed. It's so hard for him to get out of those situations. Ancient Rage maybe to relieve some of the pressure, and it does. No picks happening, but Swarmshe getting dangerously low on the side as they lose Ghost too.
Yeah, I mean, Swarmshe, not only with Ghost going down, but just in general from that Ancient Rage, the hooks that have been kind of not connecting for a lot of it, that one does connect, but honestly, it feels like it might hurt him a little more than help him. There's just been a lot of those moments, and, well, fortunately for him, unfortunately for Hydra, Ralkion is still really good at Mave. That's going to be a triple kill picked up for him. That is 4 kills in a row, though, because he got the first one, that engagement timer. Not going to give him the quadra kill. I won't either, but he did effectively kill all 4 of them. And with 40 seconds left, they're looking to potentially roll this up the last little bit of hill. I mean, Barrage can only do so much from this angle. Everyone's inside or around the window.
The only person he threw it at was the Terminus, too, and all it did was speed his Siphon charges a little bit more. They have Cyclone to buy some time, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. They need to find a pick quickly. He dashed off the point, too, so if their tank goes down, it might be immediately over. Barrett getting ignored. They do get the Grover, so it flips. Cyclone Strike coming in, too, but Onslaught are just going to disengage.
Being able to use that Dome Shield available as well, which is the last-minute panic button. With 15 seconds left, I highly anticipate Onslaught, since they have no one really nearby, probably going to have to let this one go wayward and wait for the next mid-fight. Although, Swarmshe is in an interesting position. Not going to be able to get the dash through, though. Too much damage. The touch from Maeve, going to keep it in overtime. That's going to be a double kill from Mew Mew. And everyone's just too awkwardly low, too awkwardly far away to try and make this hold on for what it was. I admire the tenacity, but not a 4-0 this time around.
Honestly, I think I would have rathered have Hydra Onslaught just back up. I don't know if they had the chance to flip that without using ultimates, and they had a pretty big advantage. They had the Resurrect. They had the Crossfire, I believe, still then. We can see now here. Yeah, they had Crossfire close to midnight, and they have the Terminus res. So if they had waited, they would have had a really big ult advantage coming in. Only Dome Shield was on the board, but now they're closer to the really influential one, which is, I think, is the Assert Dominance. Especially if they can combo that with the 3-time in space. That's basically the only way I see Hydra getting an immediate win on this fight.
Well, Barrage almost up as well, so they're going to have maybe a few tools in their arsenal pull on out here. As, well, the big name of the game is going to be Cauterize on their side. A Cauterize 3 here for the Koga, and he's got a lot of bullets to spam that out to make life a little harder for these tanks. So expect to see Onishi as well as Swarmshe maybe taking a little bit more damage than they're used to, but Dome Shield came down. Dome Shield got burned down.
You don't see that much.
It's going to end up going away.
And that wasn't even used in the best position, I think. Onishi's been capping this entire time. Barrack hooked off the point to not contest, still not contesting, so Onishi's getting maximum value out of this. Great crush by him, too, so total control in the favor of Onslaught, and I think they might be able to deny a retake once they get rid of this Ashe on the board.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be 1 shot, 1 kill on the Mew Mew. Now, well, unfortunately for business, he's left alone kind of in the tank full of sharts wearing bait as a suit. And with 84%, they still have Reanimate, they have Ancient Rage, they're about to have Whirlwind. Even if you get in to contest this, it's going to be a difficult fight. But here's the Ancient Rage to cause some trouble. The hook not available, but the dash still is, chasing him down. 1 kill right there. 2 more in front of him if he wants to go for it. And so far, it's been able to keep overtime going, but not enough to find any crazy kills. Whirlwind was used to keep this tank a little healthier, but this Terminus is almost unworried about this.
Yeah, and the Sir Dominance in the front is basically just... And it's not going to buy time for too much. DPSs will be able to get back, but Hydra aren't really threatening a point cap. If Onslaught back up, I mean, it's 99-23 still. The Sir Dominance ends now. Stun comes in on him too, but he can't die. DPSs are back, but they won't be able to find anything, and Onslaught take it.
That was one of those moments that entire fight at the end was necessary from Hydra.
Yeah.
But it wasn't ultimately really garnishing anything for him.
No.
It was just, how long can we stall this out? Like, Terminus is standing on the point and he has Reanimate. Even if you kill him, what are you going to do? You have to run away almost immediately, and then someone else just touches.
Yeah, they actually looked at Onslaught's stat page before this, and they decided that they wanted to make it look a little better.
Yeah.
So
they were just like, you know what? We'll keep it close. Let the fight go on a little longer. A couple more kills thrown your way and see what you can do with it. But I mean, hey, they turned the Terminus around earlier. It was 1-10. This time around, looks a lot stronger there coming down from Onishi. 44,000 damage. And I mean, still 88,000 there, 63, 61 numbers popping up for Hydra. All higher than what Onslaught were able to give. The problem is all of it either being converted to poke damage, or even if it finds kills, there was no objective control.
It was just all being healed by Jumangok. The Grover
that too.
constantly able to just negate all that healing. And I gotta say, I'm mildly uncomfortable looking at this Koga. He's a little bit too close to the camera.
Yeah, right?
That
Everyone else is like a nice portrait. Here's my face. Like, not Terminus, but Grover maybe a little closer, because I think just from top to bottom, his face is a little bigger. Same thing for Makoa. Koga got up in there for the camera lens.
Yeah, he wanted to make his presence known. And I gotta say, that Terminus pick really did pay off. I think Onslaught played really well around it. The ability for that term to just not die. And all the crushes found value, which... You used to only see it on PC against the characters where it was almost like you couldn't argue against it, like against Fernando, where you immediately get rid of his shield cooldown. That was where we loved to see it before. But his ability to just buy a finite amount of time completely undeterred by Wrecker, able to just keep himself alive no matter what, so valuable, especially when you play around it as well as Onslaught were. I thought they were buying him all that space on the sides to not let them get the flanks, which would have been the only weakness.
And there, again, so many moments here in this last fight where it just kind of felt like Hydra didn't have anything. Like, it's one of those, you can get rid of Grover, you can get rid of Makoa, although Ancient Rage kind of counts as like life part 2 when if he hits it in time or keeps it for that. But Reanimate is truly just a 6th man now that you have to burn through.
They basically had 4 tanks.
Depending on when you use it, like we've seen some teams pop it, get burned down immediately, and it feels useless. But it very much felt like any time if that Terminus goes down, it's going to be high impact. And so they just had to kind of let him do his own thing. And unfortunately for them, that means no control on the point. And that also means a 2-0 for Onslaught. So we'll have to see if Onslaught can close it out or if we're going to have more than 3 games right after this.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins console league.
Well, map 2 is much the same as map number 1. Similar look for Hydra, a little bit better, though. They actually grabbed themselves a point in this one. Onslaught, though, continue to roll 4-1 on Bright Marsh, now just 1 map away from completing the 3-0. We got another look at Terminus, Nick, and
Oh, yeah.
a little bit better this time around.
Definitely, man. It's just such a map-centric character. He can get in the fight. He's literally bringing that knife to the gunfight, so when he can stay in melee range, it's unmissable. It's good damage. It's right on par there with Makoa. You have one of the most impactful ultimates in the game. Quick 9 and 2 for the boy. It's all well and good.
Another look at Maeve. Maeve looked pretty good on Bright Marsh as well for Ralki on map number 3. Gonna be split stone Corey. Got some range on this one as well. We got to see an Eevee duel out with a Willow on split stone Corey earlier today. Certainly in Ralkion's wheelhouse. But is it on the opposite side is the ultimate question here.
He'll probably do the Maeve. I think that's just where he's feeling it today. And it's not, that's the thing about these flankers. They're just not contested in the draft. So you kind of just grab whenever the hell you want. You can grab them earlier too to keep those, a couple picks open, whatever it is. That's a strategy, just like picking a power pick late. You keep some things open, you force your opponent to play more cards, and you get a better idea what they're trying to go for, and then you can make the most educated decision possible. Only one frontliner banned out this time around. Geno's just taking a seat for a long period today. This sets 1 and 2 as well, and finally we'll get to see Talus prove it. I wonder if this is like why you don't see Torvald banning Talus is enough.
Right.
All they do is Torvald Talus, so if you ban Talus, Torvald just is, also kind of proxy banned.
Right.
We'll see if Hydra end up doing that.
They're both available.
But I want to see it. I want to see some merit to this.
Oh, it's Atlas Grover for Onslaught. You bring up the Torvald. It's certainly still around, certainly available here for Hydra. I think with picking Atlas and Grover, Onslaught are kind of revealing somewhat of the way they want to play. Usually with a Grover on this map, you're kind of playing underneath the bleachers. And as long as you can stay alive, you tend to have a pretty good shot at winning. No Torvald just yet for Hydra. Remains to be seen if they'll opt that direction. But they're going to get the Victor. So some more hit scan for Hydra.
Yeah, Grover's really solid on Splitstone. Whether you play kind of in that little pocket that's not quite under the bleachers, but just outside of it, you can make a quick rotation over to the lava side, and your radius is just so big that like everyone's getting in there and everyone's going to get that benefit. Playing Lex is definitely interesting because this is not a very horizontal friendly map. I'll put it that way. He can't get the up down whatsoever. But neither can anyone else that far. So that's going to help mitigate some of that weakness, I think.
And Lex was a champion that right after those changes, it was like for a day maybe, where he was somewhat in the meta, kind of getting played in all of those games. There's a lot of merit to it. Kind of fell off a little bit. I mean, 2% pick rate, 100% win rate for Lex. So at least in the games where he's appeared, he's done pretty well.
Damn straight. And looks like Furia will be the final selection here. So Talus standing on his own. No Torvald, no funny business to speak of. And if Torvald wasn't highly integrated into your strategies now, he's not going to be receiving that kind of... It is a nerf, but it's kind of like baselining all of the damage amp to be kind of at the same level, at least on a non-ultimate basis. Furia is going to still do what she does every time she presses the E key.
Another look at Grok here. You like it?
Yeah, I mean, I love Grok. Maelstrom Grok is one of my top 5 builds since its inception.
I agree. It's a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to see how it plays out. To do that, we'll go down to your casters.
Well, we're absolutely going to have to see how this one shakes out. Grok being locked in. Second time today that we've been able to see him come through. As Hydra kind of back up to the wall. Splitstone Quarry. It's do or die, and they might lose it all.
They have a good comp, I think. I don't think it's that bad. They have some great pressure in the Quarry side. Makoa Talus dashing across and running at you. That's a little frightening, especially on console where Talus is such a force. They're gonna have to kind of, I think, almost give up that space and play outside and purely burn point. And Orin to Grok's a really good matchup for Grok, but they need to keep the Talus off him. Grok does not do well under that much pressure.
I mean, Talus Victor, probably 2 of the most prominent picks that we've ever had on console. Definitely going to be potentially leading the way here. Is already Makoa Talus going for a very large flank. Still mounted up. Finally, they dismount. Well, not Makoa. He's still hanging around as they come in through the other side of bleachers, looking for everyone that they can target and get some burst damage. But they need to find a little bit more to make this feel worthwhile.
That's just not enough. Makoa also kind of getting zoned out. They need to be moving together. The fact that they're separate, like, I get that they're pushing into sidelines, but there's a whole nother part of the team they could be working around, and Ralkion manages to find the first kill. Mew totally forced out here.
And unfortunately for Business, that means he's not going to be in the game for a little bit longer. 51% Onslaught have been capturing this entire time, and Lex now has a beat on this Talus. Is looking for him. Is at least going to be able to kind of help zone him down. Barrage is going to help zone out that objective, but it's still 78% and still rising here for Onslaught as they kind of maintain their control. A little more poke makes them a little more cautious, but I mean, they kind of own this zone.
Yeah, Talus tries to go in and immediately gets burnt down. Ralkion is kind of on counter Talus duty. I mean, earlier he was even re-rolling his mark just to get the Talus so we could see him. And he's doing a great job, I think, at keeping him zoned and about just doing this consistent burst damage. Lex fell off for a little bit, but he still does what he's been doing. And his ultimate and everything in his kit is so good at being such a good backline hit scan harasser.
I mean, a couple of good shots right here. 87% still set up on the Law if he wants to come through, but Tyler's already gone, and you're looking like you're going to burn straight through a inflamed Makoa at the top of all of that as he burn him down 99 to 51. But you just need someone to touch Onslaught. There they go as they come through, capture the objective, find themselves up 1-0, and then continue zoning out pretty much anyone and everyone on Hydra. Victor here trying to get any poke damage just to start this off on the right foot. Talus goes to the backline, but kind of feels all for naught right now.
Yeah, that's how Talus almost always feels to me. You really have to play around it. They're just not doing it. You just annihilated immediately when he tries to peek. Wodak does find the angle onto Jumongot, getting rid of the heals, but they're sitting back in such a good defensive position. I think it's almost inevitable that they will be able to hold that with that hold.
Teleporting on back. This is one of those, like, I want to say double-edged sword moments where it's like, yes, you finally win the fight. But it also kind of turns out they just get to spend any credits they had, kind of accrued through that first portion, and maybe come back a little stronger. And for Onslaught, I think that makes them a little more frightening. I mean, you can see Ralkion now with Cauterize 2 on Swarm Sheet, and Jumongot going to have the Chronos 2 online, which that's actually a hefty amount of credits picked up for him. But between all of them, having those tier 2 items just mean they're going to be more potent in the fights. You can already see that 2 down as they continue this up. Business going to be rolling on in, but rolls right in front of the wrong set of pistols.
I think that was a great take by Onslaught. I mean, they just ignored the people up in the elevator side. They just said, we don't care about you. We'll just get everybody else. And then at that point, they're so far away from the cart, they use their mobility to get there. Now they're still being staggered. I mean, the Makoa just respawned, so Onslaught has all the time in the world to set up if they want. The hook connects, but the stasis field is blocking it. Ancient Rage actually equalized it, but the Talus immediately goes down in the back.
I mean, that was 2 separate shots, 1 headshot from Lex plus 1 shot from the Grok is going to be able to open that. Tyler goes down as well, and now, you're just watching this Makoa get kind of handled by Atlas. A couple of body blocks, a nice setback, keeps everything under control. Business, as much as it sucks to say it this way, just couldn't play there. Swarm Sheet stopped him from being effective. Part of the reason we do see Atlas banned so often when we are watching the Premier League, the Minor League, even here in the Console League today. But as of right now, even though he's 0-2-5, his impact has felt a little bit more than that slash line kind of implies.
He is top damage, so he's still doing a lot even without the kills. He's getting all the assists and pressure that his team needs.
And then
Talus is being out-damaged by Furia.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a rough one, especially considering this character is being banned in 80% of games. So I really do want teams to either really figure out how to play with it or just get it out of the draft. It really doesn't seem to be doing what it needs to in these games. I'm sure there's been games in the past where it's been effectual, but these teams just aren't playing around it the way they need to. Swarm Sheet very aggressive here on the side. Stasis Field denying a lot. Deja actually might put Business into a place to get picked, but does have his Shell Shield still up. Onslaught, good positioning. They have their high ground. They have Quarry. They just need to find a pick, but Hydra get it first.
That totem was doing everything in its power to try and keep Atlas alive, but it can only last so long. It can only heal so much. It's going to be 4, I think, in a row here. As Onslaught just get pushed back. Maybe one more kill onto this barrack, as staggered out as he could be, would be immense for them. The beam thrown out towards him. And the Dome Shield going to get dropped just to try and keep him safe. It is burned down immediately. That was just a bad judgment call.
It got a trade, though. Ralkion might get a second one here, too, so that wasn't that bad. It did buy a little bit of time. I probably wouldn't have done it, so much smarter than me, Onishi is, and they're coming in with this. The Law takes out the Inara as well, gets traded by Business, but Onslaught retook control.
I mean, one shield stands between maybe a couple of headshots here from the Lex and, well, Turtle Soup, depending on where he can find it. But that 78% has been stalled And it's going to be matched here as Onslaught takes some control. Talus going to go for the ult, looking for some damage. Not going to be able to find it. Grover just heals too much. Ralkion does go down, but it was not as a full result of just Mew Mew. Need a little bit of an assist. They're in a good position to get aggressive. They're going to be going for it. That's going to be a beautiful second chance from Atlas. Keeps him in this, and it keeps this Makoa on his toes. He's getting melted down, controlled right now. Ancient Rage is almost charged up. You need one kill here if you're Talus to make this make the big difference, but they already found 4 of the team.
Wadak just raining down hell from up top. So hard to deal with. Ralkion tries to get his reset, but doesn't get it in time. And wow, Victor absolutely reminding everybody why he's being banned and picked so often in the PCL. Just unstoppable sitting up top. They had to contest at that point the Inara combination with him. Uncontestable. I mean, they went in, they couldn't burn the Inara in time before the Victor just shredded them to pieces. He even got the kill on Anishi earlier where he poked the Dome Shield for 1 second. Burst mode, so much damage, so hard to prep.
And yeah, it is very much just that moment of not recognizing where it goes. CC immunity there through the Leviathan is going to keep this Makoa nice, safe, and, well, pretty much in control. Does get full healed, and they find Swarm Chi on top of it. Onslaught, all the things that were strengths, I would argue, through the first round, not showing up so far here in this second, like, kind of leg of the push. Coming around the last corner right now. Hydra walking onto the last catwalk. And they see the conversion point. The question is whether or not they can fully find it. There's going to be the Inflame pop to try and not only stabilize, but get aggressive and win this fight.
And the Inflame actually might not be enough damage from Wadak to win this fight against Ralkion. They're both missing, and the triple headshot from the burst mode makes the difference in the end. Jubakak's trying to get the kill himself now, but Wadak wants to be aggressive. It's not going to mean too much. I mean, as the team attacking, even if you get a pick and trade after your whole team went down, sometimes it's like, oh, that's a great refight. You're attacking. I mean, they spawn right there. You spawn about 8 miles away, so just managed to get a little bit more charge for his ultimate, so that's worth something in the end. But Hydra now, they have to fight into this great defensive setup from Onslaught, I think. They gave up a little bit, but they're able to go onto the high ground and get the dismounts by just a little bit more time.
I always describe this map as having like 3 to 4 choke points on it, even though you never really see as many of them. I feel like the payload almost always makes it this far and then stops, and then it's so difficult to get back to that point because all of a sudden those choke points become enabled.
For sure.
And
I mean,
so
a team that's good at defending, they're able to just lock you out of all those different positions. You know, they can choose their battles, what's best suited against your composition.
As of right now, though, Onslaught, they had it for a little bit. They let go of it. 20 seconds left. The payload has some attention going towards it right now. Being contested finally from the high ground. Onslaught standing in the right spots for it. But both tanks, specifically Barrack right now, under pressure to perform and under pressure to kind of stay alive. Health bar is going to get healed up. A couple of shots get rid of Mew Mew. Tyler, Business all taken down. Another beautiful headshot from Lex. Matches with a shot from Swarm Chi. And it's going to buy them space. And they get the defensive point here for Onslaught. Up 3-1 going into what could be the last round. They just need one good mid-fight.
That's so hard for Onslaught, too. I mean, once you get to this point, once you give up a cap with your this composition, it's a lot harder. They have a very early game composition. Once cauterizers are online, it definitely gets much tougher. Now they have 2 reset ultimates. They have the Whirlwind, they have the Tempest. Both of them very good at keeping their team alive under pressure before it gets to kind of a 4-point, 6-point setup.
Yeah.
Once you hit this point, once cauterizers are online, it really doesn't do quite the same thing. They need to focus a lot on objective time here. Don't let Hydra get that fast cap. Don't let them get a chance for a retake. They have ultimates they can spend to make it work. I want to see some better exiles from Swarm Chi. I feel like they haven't really been hitting the mark. I think he needs to use them a little bit more proactively on the zone, but he might go down before he has a chance to.
Well, he's going to be able to give himself a second chance to try and come back in here. And does still have the exiles barrage being used. A nice little setback into shots onto the head right there, but it's not going to be able to find the kill onto this Victor. A lot of low health bars, but it's still kills coming up. Hydra as they come through. Business with the Ancient Rage going to be able to melt through just enough people. Barrett goes down, Grover goes down. That's going to be a full team wipe as the respawns start coming through from the initial fight. But Onslaught, without comeback mechanic, or I guess in Hydra's case, with comeback mechanic, don't need anywhere near as much time. All they need is a little bit of zone, maybe a dismount or a stun up on the high ground. At this point, should be there.
What a good hook by Business up to Ralkion, too. Ralkion might have been able to slide in and touch, but barely taken out at the end. Exile not used during that mid-fight, too. Swarm Chi had a chance to use it, maybe to counter the barrage, but held on to it instead. And now Hydra are facing down potential. Get past this choke. They have a good chance to turn this to 3-3.
Very, very good opportunity for them to maybe open this up. Couple of shots from Victor should charge this ult full, just because of the way he tends to work. A couple of good headshots from Lex might be able to change the role, but unfortunately it was him versus 3. Not exactly the best setup. They're bouncing right now. Tempest is available. As you had mentioned, Exile is available. And with how fast they charge, I imagine like the Law Whirlwind will be coming up if they can stall this out for, you know, maybe another minute. Hydra Gaming are going to kind of have to ask themselves what all they want to commit to try and convert this. And the payload's still kind of steadily moving. Still needs to make it around the last corner.
Tempest used by them, but Business is just hitting every hook onto Ralkion. They need to respect him a little bit more. They're just not ready for it. That's the power of Makoa. With these teams, when they're this good, they always manage to get those kills beyond the veil, letting Ghost kite out a little bit, but they do manage to finally get Business. The thorn in their side has been plucked. Use the tweezers, take out that Splinter, and great setback onto Chibi, actually. Lets Onslaught kind of settle back in. They can retake this good defensive position, and with a minute left, they have a lot of time they can bleed out here.
Good shots right now from Stormsheet that are just getting a little bit of poke here. And admittedly, you would think maybe that poke's not going to matter, but it's 900 a shot. If he hits a headshot, I believe up to 1,300. And when you kind of put that in conjunction with the Lex and you pair them up together, all of a sudden that's a kill.
That happened earlier to Mwadak, too. He was trying to run away up top. He got headshot by both. They went from full to god, and I can't imagine what that must have felt like. Full HP.
You just
all
get
right.
to not play the game anymore, by the way.
I judged this perfectly. My timing, exceptional. I'm just immediately dead. Ralkion's actually coming on a flank here, too, so they want to buy a little bit more in time. This might be enough against the Inflame, but Stormsheet doesn't see Business coming from behind.
Going to be a good hook. Hatsuchibi finds Onishi, and that gets rid of the barrack. That gets rid of maybe the main pressure on the payload, but a couple of good headshots from Ralkion could have helped. But unfortunately for them, it's going to be a turnaround business. Mew Mew picking up the 2 kills onto the off-tank of the flank, and then there's a follow-up onto the support. Barrack, last man standing. All 5 ults charged for Onslaught, almost all 5 here for Hydra. As they're going to be walking it in, there's going to be a little bit of a contest. And Onishi has a lot of pressure. Stormsheet has a lot of pressure to make this perform and hit the way they want to. A good setback. Going to be able to set them up, but it's Onishi who falls first.
They actually have a chance here, I think, with how good that setback was. They need to keep themselves alive, though, without spending any ultimates, and they might have a chance to. Great damage from Ghost finds, too. Furia might go down here as well. Just Talus on the point, but he can't live particularly long. Has to blink away. Furia gets the last retouch, but overtime falls down, and great defense. But neither team used an ultimate, but I can't believe Onslaught held that with a pick on their side first.
Yeah, I mean, and losing your tank at that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just any pick.
pick.
It's the guy who's supposed to sit there and contest it for that long. But like you said, no one used their ults. I think the only one really down coming into this was the Inflame there for Furia, sitting at 83%. So expect to see it soon, but not immediately. And so out of this one, I mean, better suite of ultimates is I guess really where the conversation comes down, because that could potentially win Onslaught the game. But do you think they have what it takes? Like, do they have the arsenal behind them?
They might be able to. It really depends on how much they get out of this Tempest and this Exile, I feel. I think those are the two big ultimates for me. The Tempest has to find them a pick. They have to find a target that's isolated and get onto them. And this Exile has to stop something.
It has to be used.
Yeah, press the button. I mean, it's definitely a hard ultimate to make work for sure. And I get that, but they need to find something in Tempest, actually. The hook gets blocked too, so this Tempest might be able to find some pressure. Ancient Rage forced out, but they'll get Mwadak out of this.
You remember how earlier we were talking about running a marathon? This time around, they go full on for the sprint, and they're going to be able to get first place. Usain Bolt made a trip to the realm today, and well, as far as they're concerned, they just ran through Hydra Gaming. A couple of shots here should be able to get rid of Hatsuchibi, and that's 62% still picked up for Hydra before all of this shakes out. But it does end up, in my eyes, kind of shaking towards Onslaught being in control. You lose your support, you lose your off-tank, though. Alice, Makoa, Inara all around, potentially able to come back in and change the pace of this game.
They have Dome Shield to buy a little bit of time, though, so if they come in, they can use that to get something to counter the Seismic Crash if that comes in next. And I'll jinx it again. They have the Exile. It's going to come out at some point. The stun actually means they can't negate the Dome Shield. Barrage coming in to counter, but nothing else happening there. Dome Shield does manage to get on the point, and Tyler has no cooldown, so DR coming back up, but it might not be enough to save him.
You need these shots, and he's going to be able to find them. Ghost going to come through with the assist on the kill. They're going to be able to find it, and it's just the right amount of zone, just the right amount of control. No overtime, and no one to stop that one as Onslaught got dicey there in the middle, but solidify their grip at the end and find themselves a win, and they win the set.
They had the better objective play, for sure. I mean, just being able to win with how many more deaths they had and all that. They were still able to control that quarry area, not let the Talus really get in other than ultimates. I think Business was a huge problem for them. He made so much room from Wadak.
Yeah, and there were so many moments where it's just like, hey, you know, this Makoa is not bothersome. I mean, at the beginning of the game, we were just talking about how Talus and Makoa didn't seem effective at all. And then later on, it was, oh, well, what if I Ancient Rage, though? And then he'd get 2-3 kills and be able to walk away. I mean, 89,000 there for business, 185,000 for the Victor. But you have to look at Ghost. I mean, finding 115,000, someone who can kind of keep up, I'm going to put that in quotations, keep up with Victor in terms of damage sometimes around. But like you said, and this is actually kind of the story of the day, slash lines for Onslaught, they're not pretty. The only one that looks really good is maybe the 12 and 8 from Ghost. It really does come down to Onishi, Swarmshi, and really, I guess, Grover kind of standing behind the two of them, keeping them alive, and objective control being the name of the game.
The better team versus the better players. I mean, I think they were equally skilled. A lot of duels were kind of going both ways, but Onslaught just played their plan better. They had Ralkion, I think, slowing down the Talus a lot. Made it really tough for them to get in. Ghost pounding in the damage, even onto a comp that I really wouldn't say was great for Grok. I think the Victor and Nara are pretty good for him to deal with, but Makoa Talus, you don't think good against Grok, other than you're running, unless you're running CC Totem, you're not screaming for Grok when you're playing into that.
I mean, so many moments where it just kind of bounced between it. This is where he's able to pick up a lot of those, like, just those damage numbers. Why he can, quote-unquote, keep up, again, with Victor is because bouncing between 2-3 members, all of a sudden your damage numbers skyrocket. But Tempest, towards the end as well, was probably one of the biggest things. I mean, the movement speed between Beyond the Veil and Tempest all kind of combining together to just rush down Hydra. You're too fast.
Yeah.
A race car is envious.
Diminishing returns affect it somewhat. I think it's like
you
60
have to hit a
or
cap
70% speed. That's crazy. And that's what I was saying on the way in, you know? They have to find someone isolated with this Tempest. Well, I guess you can find their spawn isolated if you're going that fast. If you're stacking them both, they could just run straight in. And they did the right play. Other than, I mean, they have the Exile for next week. They'll use that then. So good that they held on to it. It'll help them a lot.
Maybe one day.
Match 1 of next week. But they used the other ult they needed to, the Tempest. It found its mark.
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm sure there's been plenty of jokes people have heard about just running around your opponents. This time they literally ran around their opponents. They were able to find it. They find the set, and they close this one out 3-0. Onslaught looking really good this week. But that's not it. We still have more North America. We'll be right back after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins console league.